Hello, listeners, and thank you for joining us on ePastors Network Live. We are so excited. We have Dr. Jamal Bryant, pastor of Empowerment Temple, on the line to share with us about his upcoming summit. Dr. Bryant, thank you for coming and speaking on ePastors Network Live. We are delighted to have you on to share about the National Emergency Summit for 300 Black pastors. How are you today, sir?
I'm wonderfully well, and I'm excited that the ePastors Network is partnering with us to try to galvanize ministers across the country to really get engaged in social activism.
Amen. Amen. And we are excited to partner with you and your organization as well. What was your impetus, your motivation for calling a National Emergency Summit for 300 Black pastors?
I realize historically that this whole movement of Black Lives Matter is the first one in recent history not led by the church or by a pastor. And as a consequence, the Black church, for the very first time in the advancement of our people, are on the sidelines and not on the front line.
And can you share what was your reasoning for just inviting Black pastors, if you will?
Black pastors have historically been the prophetic voice of conscience for this nation. Whether you deal with Vernon Johns or Martin Luther King or even in the 80s, Reverend Jesse Jackson, there's always been a pastor to operate in that prophetic voice. And there seems to be a vacuum in this hour. And so I wanted to mobilize Black pastors, especially in the backdrop of 100 Black pastors going to meet with Donald Trump when he did not reflect any policy or any promise to our community that there needed to be an alternative vision and voice.
Yes. And as I was viewing your information, there are 3 areas that you are looking to discuss with these pastors, and that is Black lives, Black minds, and Black dollars. Could you share with the audience your vision for those 3 areas?
Yes, those 3 areas are really going to be our marching point around this presidential election. Black minds matter. About how do we fortify historically Black colleges when so many of them are in danger of closing because they're underpopulated, they're losing funding, or absent of accreditation? What do we do to raise the standard of education for public school systems and securing accreditation for those who teach our children and making sure the only piece of technology in public schools is when they don't have computers? Then with Black Lives Matter, the overarching theme in the face of mass incarceration, aggressive and militarized policing, dealing with racial profiling, and dealing with so many instances where we're having the absence of police. The third one is in dealing with Black dollars matter. We have $1.2 trillion worth of spending power but don't have anything to show for it. And so how do we call ourselves into a level of accountability? So those are the 3 areas that I'm asking of these ministers to really beat the drum at home, as well as the accountability of those who have offered themselves to be presidential candidates.
Amen. Thank you so much for addressing those 3 areas and certainly bringing more of a clarity to the ePastors Network about what you are trying to do in bringing these pastors together. But I have to ask you this question. Is part of the problem churches, pastors not unifying and addressing these problems in their own individual communities?
Well, I think that there are a whole lot of pastors who are addressing it to minimal fanfare or exposure of it. But I think that there's power in numbers. Somehow, historically, we've rewritten history. All of the pastors weren't with Dr. King. It was so marginalized that the National Baptist Convention split. And so it doesn't have to be the mass, but if we can find the faithful few, that's why I'm raising up this 300, which is symbolic of Gideon's army. You don't have the thousands, but the hundreds can make the impact.
Yes. Thank you so much, Dr. Bryant, for sharing information about this summit. The National Emergency Summit for 300 Black Pastors will be held January 25th through January 26th at the historic Andrew Rankin Memorial Chapel on Howard University campus. And for more information, please go to www.powermovement.com. Dr. Bryant, do you have any last remarks?
That I want every minister as possible to register as soon as possible. We're cutting it off at 300. It is, in fact, 2 days that are going to be an intensive of education, the 25th and a half day on the 26th. And the 26th, I can't give it out all now, will close with a demonstration for justice by these 300 ministers, something that this nation, this generation has never seen before. And so ask that they would please go to powermovement.com, register, and tell your colleagues to do the same.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Dr. Jamal Bryant, for coming in and sharing with us. Truly, this movement, this summit is about certainly Matthew 22:14. Many are called, but few are chosen. Will you be among the 300 that will attend and make an impact in your individual community? Again, thank you, Dr. Jamal Bryant, for sharing with us. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you for having me. I look forward to seeing all of you in a few days.
Amen. Shalom.